Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and I'm here today in my lovely loft over here in San Luis Obispo, and I'm over here talking to the number one soul flyweight in all of California, a pretty hot spot, a pretty top ranked guy over here, Houston Scibek. Man, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you? Thanks for reaching out and everything. I'm happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, it's been quite the long time since we've seen each other last seen you when you fought over
Yeah,
there at 559 fights 94, I believe. Now we're over there approaching 104, so it's almost been 10
yeah,
months really since, or probably about a year since we've seen you
yeah.
back
It's
in
been
action.
yeah, sure. That was like the end of January, so it's basically been a year at this point.
What was the reason for the inactivity? Was there an injury you were harboring? I know there was a
Oh
bout
no,
canceled for A1 combat. What exactly was the
yeah.
kind of thing holding back Houston? Was it prepping for this professional MMA career?
I mean, it was more personal. Like, just I was living in an apartment. I lost the job about midway through this year. The initial plan was probably like August after that fight in January, just because figured we'd need like 6 months to shore up little amateurish type of mistakes. So that was the initial plan. Then life happened, like I said, kind of pushed things back a little bit. And then November was the next plan. We had to fight with the same dude. Ended up having to get pushed back to January now. But I mean, it's cool. It's been less than a year at least technically, and I'm not the type of guy to worry about ring rust or anything.
You definitely do not seem rusty at all. I mean, from coming
I
from
hope
some of the
not, man.
training videos that we've been seeing, man, you've seemed right in tip-top shape. Just
Oh yeah,
just coming off of everything. How is it to get to go into this first professional fight for you with somebody alongside you in your training partner, somebody that you grew up kind of alongside, and Terrance
yeah,
Saeturn? I know he talked to me in his interview saying you guys went to high school together, wrestled together on the same
yeah.
team, I believe, led you guys over there to Nobody MMA. How is it now to kind of be going through this MMA journey together?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's really crazy when you think because we're from a small town out here. We wrestled together in high school, like Terrence told you. Uh, he was a senior when I was a freshman, so he was like team captain and everything. I kind of, wanted to be like him. We even wrestled off for the same spot my freshman year, and he beat me pretty bad in our wrestle off. So I mean, I always aspired to get better like him and everything. So yeah, being in a small town, like I always would have thought if I was going to be a professional fighter, I'd have to move away from here. But we got an awesome team out at home, man. It's really cool. It's really cool to be doing the thing together, especially on my debut.
You guys have been killing it over there at Nobody MMA. I always find it
Yeah,
so ironic. I know it's that kind of Sonny's thing is obviously Nobody MMA. You know, guys kind of fly under
yeah,
the radar, but you guys prove big results. You guys have been going out to these big shows. You guys have been heading out to Cage Warriors. Blake Perry was supposed to be out there at Cage Warriors. Sadly, had an injury,
yeah.
couldn't get
That
out
was
there.
rough.
But how is it? How is it to have guys like that, man? I mean, like how you were saying, you thought you were going to have to move to possibly have a professional MMA career. To have guys like Blake Perry, that's possibly on his way to getting to a very top regional promotion, or possibly the
Yeah,
UFC, as well as Terrance. Both those guys making some pretty big waves in the regional MMA scene.
yeah. No, it helps a lot. I mean, even our guy Caesar, he's seasoned professional. He's had like 10 fights. Like, looking up to those guys, seeing what they've done with their professional career, learning from things they said they've done well, things they said they didn't do well, man. It's a lot for me to pull from. And yeah, it's crazy living in Suisun City, man. Like I really wouldn't have thought like I'd have all this at my hands, but it's super awesome, man.
Can we talk a little bit about that last fight of your amateur career? Because
Of course.
I personally believe that was one of the best fights that you've had on your resume, man. It really showed
Yeah,
kind of
definitely.
every realm of your fighting, and it was a really close fight. Alex Bonilla brought it to you as well. You're facing
Yeah.
another guy from Salinas in this upcoming bout. How was that fight in your eyes watching it back?
Yeah, it was tough, man. uh he was quicker than I thought he would be, moving up to 35. Like, I'm a pretty small flyweight even, so like I would have thought I'd have a big speed advantage, but he was quick in and out. He had a good straight right. I was expecting more like hooks, looping punches, round kicks. But yeah, I remember I got his back the first round. I was really going for the finish there. I completely like blew my legs out trying to work the body triangle there. So like second round, I could barely stand, man. It was tough. It was kind of scary being out there, like no legs under you and everything. But yeah, I just figured it out. Third round, my coach told me punch my way into the clinch. Basically, I got him against the cage, and I was able to get him down and finally, eke out the decision. Man, it was tough, but I knew like I wasn't gonna quit at any point. I wasn't gonna try to tap out or anything. I found a way to win. I was glad I at least found a way to win, man.
A hard fought fight for sure. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember, but after I talked to you a little bit before the interview, you'd been up with me for the post fight interview. It was kind of the first time we were doing the interviews like that, and then right
Oh
after you
yeah,
went to the
yeah,
trash can and just had to go
yeah,
let it loose, man. And
yeah.
I still remember that moment because it was like a true like it reminded me like a Jordan flu game esque moment. Were you sick or something going into that bout? Was
Oh
it
no,
concussion
dude.
symptoms or what exactly was it?
No, not at all. I mean, it could have been the breakfast, like biscuits for breakfast after weigh-ins. Probably wasn't the best thing, but I think it was. I mean, could have been stress. Could have been it. I've never like puked. I've puked like during runs and stuff when I run really hard. That's happened like a couple times, but yeah, I have no idea why that happened. I've heard it's happened to some of my teammates, so maybe that's something I got to look forward to the rest of my career. But yeah, that was insane, man.
A close
But
call, a very
yeah,
close call. Some would say it was a problem. Houston, the problem shot.
yeah.
Man, go into that nickname because I swear I know those shirts. They're looking dope, man. They're looking real
Oh
nice.
yeah,
But
of course, man.
can you go into the nickname and how exactly it came about? Because I feel like that was just perfect timing.
Yeah, so first thing, those t-shirts, that's Terrance's girlfriend, Nicole. She's got an Instagram page. I'm hopefully we'll be able to send that link out or something, but she's great at making the t-shirts. She makes Terrance's t-shirts too. I'm pretty sure she's done Blake's t-shirts. But the nickname obviously comes from Houston. We have a problem. You grow up with that name, you're gonna hear that almost every day of your life, man. So but I am a problem myself, I guess, man. So that's the rationale behind the nickname.
I think the fight fans are going to love it, especially once you start hitting those higher levels. The announcements that are going to
Yeah.
be coming from that, the problem nickname, I think it's gonna give a lot of promoters and a lot of ring announcers a whole lot of fun. Let's go into
Yeah, I
this
hope
first
so, man.
profession. Let's go into this first professional matchup for you, man. Alan Silhanek, another top prospect over there in the amateurs for California. How was it to kind of go up against another guy, kind of like yourself, that had oh my excuse me, had that really high grade amateur ranking, had that really just kind of top level competition in the amateurs. It's almost like you guys are seasoned vets going into the
Yeah.
pros.
Yeah, no, I feel like pretty much all of my fights have been pretty tough. I've fought experienced guys pretty much since my second, probably like 5 of my 7 amateur fights. So I was expecting to have a tough fight for my professional debut. I don't really study the amateurs too much. Like I really just watch the UFC for the most part. So, but like I have good coaches giving notes on the guy, telling me what to look for. Apparently he's pretty tough. He hits hard. He wrestles good. Uh, but I'm just hoping to be better everywhere than him. But yeah, I'm not the type of guy who wants to fight someone that it looks like an easy matchup on paper. So I'm happy I get a tough fight for my pro debut.
Your professional debut. It's also going to be the debut of A1 Combat making their first ever rounds over there at Sacramento State College, going
Yeah,
to be doing a
cool.
partnership in the MMA realm. How do you feel about that as someone that's an MMA fighter? They're kind of training a couple of guys to possibly be going into that MMA scene. Do you think that's something that's going to be beneficial to the community and overall to the California MMA scene as well?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, Sacramento area in general has always been big. Well, maybe not always, but since you're at Faber days, it's been big for MMA kind of. So, Alpha Male now Saxton, like a lot of colleges in the area have like little MMA programs. So, it's cool seeing that what people can do with that. The more people get training, I mean, obviously we've seen the level of the sport go up and up. Like, yeah, I mean, I remember when UFC fighters looked like kind of how high level amateurs do nowadays, man. Like it's crazy how much better the sport's gotten.
I know you're speaking a little bit earlier about that bantamweight title win over there at 559 fights 94 against Alex Bonilla. And that kind of puts you into a class of 559 fights champions making their way over to A1 Combat. You have the Lazarus Maldonados of the world. You have the Brian Biscuit Benavidez, the Enoch Malcotrells. There's a ton of guys that have made that jump from 559 fights to A1 Combat. Is there anything that we can see in this 2024 year from Houston Scibek that we're just going to be like, wow, are you planning to be super active with it? I know a lot of guys on this scene, especially for A1 Combat, have been fighting 2 to 3 times a year. Is that something we can expect to see out of you as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd love to turn it around quick. Like as long as I don't get hurt in and out of any fights, man, I like turning things around quick. As an amateur, I was able to fight like every 2 months basically for like a year, and that was really cool. I would like to have that level of activity. I know 3 5-minute rounds against better opponents, it's going to be a little more wear and tear on my body. But if I could get in like 3 4 fights a year, I'd be happy with that, man. The more you win, you know, the higher up you could get, the better organizations start reaching out to you. So that's my idea this year.
There's almost a possibility of you heading over there to San Diego and fighting over there for Cage Warriors, a lot like a couple of your former teammates as well. Is that a possibility that we can see that in 2024 as well?
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, anytime I get a fight offer, like whatever seems to be the best, whatever's going to give me the most exposure, whatever pays better, tougher opponents, stuff like that, man. I'm happy to take any fights. So I'm not going to turn down anything, man.
I think fight fans, promoters, announcers, everybody that is involved in the MMA community, they believe not only that you're going to be one of those flyweights that's going to be on this MMA scene, that's going to be proving a lot of people wrong, but I think you're also going to be a problem for a lot of the people that you end up in that cage with, man. Is there anybody that you wanted to thank in particular for this fight camp or for anything in the lead up to this? I know that it has been a long road to your professional MMA journey, and you have obviously been putting in the work. Anybody that you wanted to give this time in the interview to thank?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I want to thank my sponsors. I really don't want to forget any of them, but just look at my banner, look at my shorts when I fight. They're supporting me. That's big for me. My team, Train for Life, Nobody MMA in Suisun City. We got the best team in the state, man. Terrance, good luck to him in the co-main event. My brother's like my biggest training partner at home. I get a ton of extra working with him, so I want to thank him a lot. My girlfriend for always putting up with me, my whole family. I have a good support system around me, so just anybody who's helped me out, big thanks to them.
Make sure, fight fans, that you are going to be either in attendance or watching live on UFC Fight Pass for Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 17, as Houston Scibek is going to be making his professional MMA debut. And I'm telling you, this is one fight matchup you do not want to miss. The #1 all-around flyweight in the state of California is going to be taking on another highly ranked amateur opponent, from another highly ranked opponent from the amateur days, and Alan Silhanek. Thank you so much for your time today, Houston. It has been absolutely great getting to catch up with you and getting to speak with you a little bit before your professional debut. Michael Hernandez here of MLH Media, and we are going to be signing out over here in the San Luis Obispo area with my man all the way over there out in Suisun City, Houston, the problem, Scibek. Thank you so much for your time, man.